What's up, y'all? Welcome to Hoops and Hops with Tyler and Mitchell. Let's start with the hops. What are you drinking this evening, Tyler?
Tonight we got Modelo with lime, baby.
Ooh, with the lime?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's summer. It's too hot. What about you?
Drinking the Twilight Ale. It's a limited release by Douchits. I'm not saying that right. But let me read it off the site. You kick back into some golden refreshment, bright and crisp like the freshest of citrus. Citrus and fruity hop aromas gently join up with the light, appealing cereal malt character, leaving you with a satisfying finish to savor.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Oh, it's pretty good, not gonna lie.
That sounds pretty good. I'm gonna have to try that one if I can find it.
Yeah, I don't know. Out in Idaho, it's a struggle. I couldn't even find the normal stuff I was looking for.
Oh man. All right. So what are we starting off with today? How are we starting this?
So this was popping off in baseball just a couple of days ago, and I feel like I saw it make its rounds on NBA Twitter, basketball Twitter, and it's the Field of Dreams for where the NFL the MLB was playing in like a cornfield or something. I don't even know where they were. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like I really don't know much about it.
It's from a movie where this guy finds a random baseball field. You know, he finds a random baseball field, and I think from what I remember, he sees people playing. He heard like a... Oh, that's what happened. It was in Iowa with Kevin Costner. He heard like a voice saying, if you build it, he will come. And so he builds a baseball diamond on his land. And then he has like ghosts of great baseball players coming to play on his Field of Dreams. Pretty cool.
Man, whenever I think of Kevin Costner in baseball, I don't even know if it's the same dude, but I always think of The Rookie, where he was like a pitcher, but he was like 40 years old.
That's Dennis Quaid. Close, but no cigar.
White people, they all look the same. But anyway, I mean, we're not a baseball podcast, so fuck baseball. We're moving on to the sport that matters, which is basketball. But the reason I bring up the Field of Dreams is because I really do think that the NBA can kind of take that and make it work. Like, they can do their own Field of Dreams. It obviously wouldn't be a field in a cornfield, but...
Dude, I think that would be sick if you did it in somewhere like Rucker Park.
You had your own Rucker Park, and everybody else, like, that's the spot. Like, either there or Venice Beach are my top two. Like,
yeah, I think if you did like Rucker Park, or you tried to build out like some futuristic Space Jam looking stadium, that'd be pretty dope too. You do either one of those, that'd be kind of cool. I think Rucker Park is the place it needs to be, though.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the first one has to be Rucker Park. Like, it's on, like, as much as I love Venice, it's unacceptable to have Venice
for sure.
Any other place not be the very first one.
For sure, dude. I'm surprised no one has taken the name, like the Brooklyn Nets or anything. No one went like a Rucker Park Nets or something like that. I feel like you'd get so much hype.
I mean, KD balled out at the Rucker a couple years ago when he was like, it was like 10 or 11 years ago. Like, literally, it was that long ago, like almost to the day.
That's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying, man. That would be dope. That would be sick. I like that.
Like, the only problem I have with it is that, like, MLB, they don't have, like, any regulation of field size, Like, they're all different.
True.
And the Ruckers, like, one, it's on concrete, so everyone's going to be busting their knees. And two, it's just a smaller court, which is my only problem.
I think what you could do with that, though, is you could make, how, like, at the Honda Center, they used to, like, they'll take stuff out, put, like, boarding on. You could probably find someone, especially in today's world, that will take boarding and put it over the park. So they're playing on a court. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be kind of cool. Throw up some bleachers.
Yeah, well, because I've not been to Rucker, but I believe it's like in a cage, essentially, and there are bleachers. You might be able to take them out. So I don't know how strict the dimensions are, Mm-hmm. Worst case, like, say you couldn't play like a legit game, like you just couldn't get a full court. I think what you do is, unfortunately, they just had like an all-star game in New York and Brooklyn. They did both at the same time, Yeah. But if they do that again in like 3 years, whatever the first one that they haven't announced yet, and they go back and they have like the first ever 3v3 or 1v1 tournament, and they do it there.
A
That's
1v1
the
would
way.
be sick. That would be cool. You have like Kyrie and Steph handling against each other. Oh man.
And I feel like it'd be the best event because the dunk contest honestly kind of sucks at this point. It's just we've seen so much. The best dunkers aren't even the best dunkers aren't even NBA players. They're just some dude that's like famous on YouTube or TikTok.
Yep.
And
yep.
Like all the people doing the dunks for fucking 2K are the best dunkers, and like you said, none of the big guys want to do it. Like, LeBron's never done it. Hopefully we can get some like young kids to do it. I don't even know if Zion's gonna do it, and he's like the biggest name dunker that we have that's young.
True, but speaking of Zion, which team do you think? Which teams would you say probably did the best in free agency? Since we're on the topic of Zion, Pelicans, teams crumbling.
They just re-signed Josh Hart today, which solid pickup. Whatever. He's not gonna make or break your team.
They did just trade for Rondo and a couple other dudes, right?
I thought Rondo went to the Grizzlies.
Let me see. I swear he just got traded.
Because I know Rondo and
that was the Grizzlies and Clippers
with Pat
trade.
Bev, and Pat Bev's like, we run LA for the next 5 years. Like, we run this league, and then he gets his ass sent to be behind John Morant.
My question with the Pelicans is, like, what are you doing? Because you lost Lonzo. Zion seemingly wants out.
Already.
From the rumors of his family. And I'm a Laker fan, so I had BI. I don't think he's good enough to start, like, be your franchise piece. I feel like he'd be like if you were to try and start one with CJ McCollum. Yeah,
like he's that he is currently a second option. He should probably be a third.
Yeah, I agree. So, what do you think could help?
The Pelicans, I don't even know. Like they're such a mess from the top down.
Yeah.
I really don't even know for the Pelicans. Let's circle back to them because I want to go back to that question where you asked which teams have the best free agency, and I think there's two clear winners. Mm-hmm. And the first, we'll say your favorite team because you've already mentioned it, the Lakers. I don't know how they did it. They had no money, and they just signed like all the pieces they need. Not everybody. They could still use like a couple more pieces. But I've told you before, Kendrick Nunn I think is huge.
Yep.
I think he's a huge pickup, wildly underrated. Getting Dwight back is obviously going to be nice. Getting Melo is going to be solid. Melo's going to be that like Markieff Morris role,
Yeah.
Like he's just going to be a big four that can hopefully defend, give him some size and everything. Who's the other guy? Not Covington.
We got Ariza and
what?
Oh my gosh,
no,
I'm blanking. Wellington.
Yeah. Oh my god, I hate how I'm blanking right now. But because I love the pickup, it was who I wanted to. Wayne Ellington.
Wellington.
Yeah,
that's why I got it. There you go, W. Ellington.
Yeah, he's a solid 3-and-D type player. I think he's a great pickup. Like he's gonna help space the floor because I still don't have a ton of shooters. Like even Nunn, like he's an okay shooter. He's not a great shooter, but I think he's a solid pickup. If they get a couple more.
I actually think the opposite of what a lot of people think, where they think that the Russ Braun dynamic is not going to work. I truly believe, and this is Lakers fan away. Like if you think about it, LeBron's number one priority, basically the last couple of years, has been get me a point guard, so I don't have to play it. And so I feel like people are worried about the ball dominance of Russ, but I think that's exactly why LeBron wanted him. Because I don't need the ball.
And that's the thing, like people underrate LeBron as a shooter. Like he could be a catch and shoot shooter, and he's gonna shoot 40%. Like he really is. Even though people don't believe in his shooting ability, he gets up there. His best shooting season was with Miami, where he shot like 40%, and it's because he had a prime D Wade.
Yep. And I also think him down low. Who's gonna stop him? The dude's still.
He's got one of the best post games in the league, and people again just don't recognize it.
And I think if you get with Russ's mentality, I think you will get huge. A better AD. And I know we'll be harping on AD a little bit later, but
I think that might be the biggest thing for like not even the Lakers, but like for Anthony Davis is getting Russell Westbrook.
I agree. I
Like,
completely agree. So who is your second team that you felt won in free agency?
this one I think did better than the Lakers, honestly.
Okay.
But the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls,
Wow.
they completely killed it. I don't even know how they did
Really?
what they did, but I just think all those moves they made were so good.
Okay. So I'm going to have a hot take here. I actually think the Bulls made probably the most useless pickups. I don't think this team makes them. I think it will make them a little bit better, but I don't think it does much.
Interesting.
I think that yes, Lonzo's a good pickup. I think Lonzo's very good, but I think that DeRozan is a waste of money. I don't think he's good. I think he's just a 10 times worse Zach LaVine. And I think that they need another star. I think their big three being DeRozan, Lonzo, and Zach LaVine.
But they have Vucevic too.
Yeah, they have him, which is nice. But I still think I feel like their money for DeRozan. I know realistically who they could have gotten this year is probably not anyone crazy.
Yeah.
But I would have rather them sign DeRozan to like a 1 year, if that's the case.
Like a 1-1. I feel because he's already 32. He's making 28 million this year, and I think it goes up for the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. Like he's making 10 more than Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, is going to get a max contract if he wants. Yep. But I understand what you're saying that because here's what I'll say is that while I think they had the best free agency, because they weren't a playoff team last year, they weren't even close.
No.
And although they have the best free agency, I don't think it makes them a championship contender. I think it gets them like 4th or 5th seed, in like a pretty solid East. Honestly, like it's not bad.
Yeah, it's all right.
But do they win? I don't know. Like they're kind of like the Knicks, Like
I feel like
a good middle team, and they might overachieve, but they're more than likely they're a second round out kind of thing.
I think their ceiling is probably semifinal out.
Yeah,
I think that's their ceiling. I don't think they'll beat the Bucks. I don't think they'll beat the Nets. I don't think they'll beat maybe even the Sixers. I don't think
the Sixers are hard just because I don't think the roster that they have right now is the roster they're putting out on the first game of the season.
I agree.
And it's even if it's the same roster they put out then, it's not gonna be who they go into the playoffs with. Like it might take until the deadline, but
you know who I think would be really, really good on the Bulls right now is a player like Bradley Beal.
Just a bucket getter?
Yeah, exactly. That way Zach LaVine can do his thing because Zach LaVine's really good off ball. He's also really good with the ball. But that way they don't only have to body up Vucevic in the post and then put like their main defender. So you're talking like your Kawhis, stuff like that on Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Lonzo ain't going to shoot. DeRozan shot 20% this year. You have, and so you have like instead of DeRozan, if you had a Bradley Beal, how are you going to split that defense?
I do think Bradley Beal makes them way better. I also think though, Kobe White, him progressing, could get them a lot better. He's almost good. That the Cleveland Cavaliers guys, Colin Sexton and who is it? Colin Sexton and Garland. Darius Garland.
Okay.
He's like that level of player. He's not really like shown it that much. But I mean if that's their 4th or 5th option, that's a crazy option to have.
I agree. And so one team, which is weird, because I wanted to ask about them anyway, because I have a feeling we're going to be on the same wavelength here.
Yeah.
One team that was ridiculously active in free agency was the Miami Heat.
Oh, yeah.
And so you'd assume they'd be one of our teams that won free agency because of how active they were. But why not?
I mean, they're kind of... It's almost like the Bulls for me. Like, I think them reaching the finals in 2020 was it wasn't necessarily a stretch. They were capable, but they played to their peak. You know,
Okay, I agree.
The absolute best they could have done is what they did. But getting Lowry, I think he Lowry to me is like Drew Holiday. He's the perfect player on a championship contender. Like if he had come to the Lakers almost instead of Russ, like if you had somehow gotten Kyle Lowry and who's the other guy that they want from Sacramento that all the Lakers fans wanted?
Oh, Buddy Hield. Yeah.
If you had gotten those two together, I think Lowry's like the guy that kind of puts them over the top there.
Okay.
But in Miami, they have the goal, like the East Coast grit and grind, you know, of Lowry, Butler, and Adebayo. I think that's a solid trio. But again, I don't see it above like a 4th or a 5th seed. Like, they're going to make the playoffs, but...
You want to know my biggest problem and who I think, funnily enough, would have been better pickup for them than Lowry? I think Lonzo. I think that if they somehow snagged Lonzo, because think about their team. You have Tyler Hero, who plays better
to save his life.
He can't play defense, and he loves having the ball in his hands. The dude can't do anything off the ball. You have Jimmy Butler, who he's not bad on ball, but you don't want him to keep the ball.
But he's also he's not like a good shooter, so he's not like a catch and shoot guy. Like he's that Kawhi type. Like give it to him in the mid range, let him work.
And then you have Adebayo, who just needs you to feed him, and now you have Kyle Lowry. And Kyle Lowry isn't that true point like a CP3 or Alonzo, where they'll make plays with the ball to get these guys open. And I feel like Kyle Lowry's gonna kind of clog their drain, basically. Like, I feel like he's going to take shots that either Jimmy wanted, or Harrow wanted, or Robinson wanted, or Adebayo wanted. Whereas if you had someone like Lonzo, you have someone that really spaces the floor for them. And I think that's what they did so well in their run.
Yeah, with like Duncan Robinson and Hero when they were shooting what felt like 60%.
Yeah, where those dudes were just moving the ball like the San Antonio, the prime Spurs.
Yeah.
Like no one touched it for longer than 2 seconds, and I think they like lost that because obviously probably egos from the young dudes, and then obviously Jimmy Butler can't play 50 minutes a game and will this team to victory every game. So I honestly think that if they got someone like Lonzo or like. Even if they got like signed like a Ricky Rubio, you know, like on a cheap deal.
Yeah. Just like that pure point guard, he just distributes the ball and moves the ball around.
Yeah, and just basically gives them because I think that was one of the pieces on the Heat team with LeBron that was super underappreciated was Mario Chalmers. The dude could shoot well, and he always gave the ball up. He did not want the ball. He was only going to shoot if he was wide open.
Yeah, but he was the perfect complement piece to them because he could take the shit that they gave. Like he wasn't a great point guard, but he still believed he belonged there. Which how many fucking 22-year-olds believe they belong on a court with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh in their prime?
Exactly. Yes. And so here's one thing real quick while we're talking about these kind of teams, like Miami burning out, stuff like that. Is I might have a hot take. I don't know how you feel. You might actually feel similarly to me. I feel like, and it will kind of transition into another topic, would be, I feel like the Suns signing Chris Paul for that fat deal doesn't do anything for them. I feel like they won't be as good as they were this year. I feel like this year was their year with Chris Paul.
I feel kind of like what I just said about the Heat, where they peaked. Everything had to go right.
Devin Booker's dropping 40-point games, like he's handing out trick-or-treat candy, like...
I mean, Ayton is huge for that team, so his development, and same with Bridges, like is going to be huge. Like they can do a little bit better, but I kind of agree with you that, like we'll get into the point right here, basically. But
exactly.
I don't understand the salaries that these old dudes are getting. Like, and they're not necessarily old right now. Like the guys I'm talking about are 35.
Is, but yeah, like CP3's old, so.
But so I have like at least one of the guys right here. And I know another one off the top of my head. And then what did Chris Paul make? He just got paid like...
He just got a max, I believe.
Okay, so actually I have 3 of the 4 that I'm thinking of right here. Chris Paul just got paid $30 million, and that dude's 36 years old, and he has a 4-year deal. So he's getting paid $30 million at 40. Kyle Lowry is also getting paid $28 million, and he's 35, and he's got a 3-year deal. So he's going to be 38, making 28 mil, or 28, probably more than that, because usually the deals go up every year, you know.
Yeah.
And then Steph Curry just signed he's the first person ever to have two $200 million contracts, and he's like
He's only 32, I thought, though, right?
right now Steph Curry, but he also has like another year or two on his deal.
True. Yeah, he's only he's 33. So yeah, he's pretty. Yeah.
But he's gonna be getting paid fucking $45 million, and he's 38 years old. Like even LeBron, he's what, 35 right now?
I think LeBron's 36.
He's
36.
Yeah, 36.
Because Melo's 37.
And he's getting paid $45 million, and he's only getting paid till he's 37, so like this year and next year.
Yeah. So that
but
when
we'll
LeBron
see.
Comes out, he can go where he goes.
Yeah, like we'll see what his deal is then, but the point stands of we're paying these 37, 38-year dudes
Yep.
$40 million a year, and it's like, dude, like this is what Luka should be getting. This is what Trae Young should be getting. You're gonna spend the cap right now. The cap is $112 million, and Curry is getting paid 40. Like you're spending 1/3 of your money on somebody that in 4 years, like you're still gonna be spending 1/3 of the money, and they're gonna be 37, 38. Like I'm sorry, right? If I were a GM, I'm not paying. I'm doing a year plus a team, like a option, or 2 years in an option, and I'm not paying more than 30. Like because do you like? Are you going to rely on these dudes being 37, 38, 39 years old, and their body's going to hold up, and they're going to be playing like they're still a top 2 to 5 player in the league? Like I don't think that's worth it.
So I have this theory. I'll call it gas tank theory. This doesn't apply to Steph Curry because I honestly think 4-year deal for a 33-year-old, not too bad because I think Steph Curry's skills will hold up with age.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't burn out his knees, like
yeah, I think his skill set.
He can play off ball.
Exactly. I think his skill set will hold up, and he's 33.
And I'll say real quick, I'll say the same about LeBron because he can move to the post and just be a primary ball handler. Like he doesn't need to be as aggressive. Like those two, their play styles transcend their age.
But here's the thing with even LeBron. So I'll include LeBron, Lowry,
Chris
Paul. Shit, let's even throw Kawhi into this, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I have this gas tank theory, right? Where I think one of these older players has that year, right? That like LeBron had when the Lakers won the chip. Where it's just, how is he still doing this?
Yeah.
And then, not blaming LeBron at all, because there's no blame. He played still phenomenally. He obviously didn't play to that level this year, but that's what I'm saying. I think with dudes like that, I think you'll see an older player, and once they have that, like, holy shit year, that's when their gas tank empties. And, like, LeBron...
And you don't even... You might not even realize it for 2 years that it's gone.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what kind of LeBron hit this year, where he's like, I need a point guard, which isn't a bad thing. LeBron's still one of the best players in the NBA, but he's just a freak. But I think Chris Paul, this is mainly towards Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And I think this is what the Heat signed Lowry in hopes for, was Chris Paul just had that gas tank here. Yeah. I think this last year emptied his gas tank completely. He just went to his first finals, finally got the Western Conference Championship bug off his back, and then he still got outplayed in the final. It looked like his gas tank emptied before the finals. It looks like they ended in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it kind of did.
Because Drew Holiday was...
I mean, you gotta give credit to Drew, though. I mean, Drew's bigger than him. He's 3 inches taller. He's like 40 pounds heavier.
And I do.
He's younger, and if you ever listen to the All the Smoke, like any podcast, any player ever say anything, they're like, Drew's that dude. Like, Drew can ball out.
And I think Drew Holiday's great. I think he's one of those players... let me finish this point.
Yeah, go for it.
I think you put Drew Holiday against Western Conference Finals, or even playing the Lakers, Chris Paul and Drew Holiday looks like a fool. He looks like, why did we trade 3 first-round picks for this guy? And I think Chris Paul's gas tank is empty. And so I think what they're hoping for from Chris Paul is this year Chris Paul, and they're not going to get it. And I also think that's why the Clippers are and I think that's why they're willing to pay this big money to older players, is because they're waiting for that. Like with the Miami Heat, I'm guessing what their hope is, Kyle Lowry's going to have a career year.
within this next year or so, because obviously their window is really small.
Yeah, I mean, because you gotta even think, like, even Duncan Robin, like, his skills translate to being older, but that dude came in as a rookie at 26. Like, he's already 27.
Yeah, like, so their window's small. Phoenix Suns' window is now smaller because
like
Chris Paul is old.
Yeah, Chris Paul just eats up so much of their contract that even though you have Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton at not even 25 or 26, like, DeAndre Ayton's like 21, and that almost takes away like 4 years. Like, if I think about it like this, you're Devin Booker, you don't win this year or next year. I don't know when his contract's up.
I think it's you don't win this year. I don't think Chris Paul has more than a year. A good year.
Hold on, let's look up Devin Booker's contract real quick.
I thought he signed an extension like last year.
Yeah, okay. So he's paid this year, next year, and the year after, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. So the Suns were kind of smart, but I think the Suns have Paul for basically 5 more years, because I think he still has like a year left on his deal as well.
Yeah,
and so they're paying Paul through like 26, 27, or like 20, probably through 25, and Booker. If I'm Booker and I'm like, if I don't win a championship this year, I'm looking for outs. And if I don't win,
I agree. Because think about the West Coast. We're gonna get into this right now. The rookies, even just the young teams, the Atlanta Hawks, the Dallas Mavericks. In a year, I mean,
like,
the Mavericks right now. Yeah, Mavericks right now are a threat. Like, let's not even act like they aren't. They're a championship level team.
It's what I've said is Kristaps Porzingis is getting paid $30 million a year right now. It's like a top 15 contract in the league, or at least before this free agency where people were getting paid stupid. Is that if he played like the money he was getting paid, like on the par of the Kawhi Leonards, the LeBron James, like if he played at that level, they're a championship team. It's that simple. And going back to the second topic where we were talking about free agency, I think that Tim Hardaway Jr. is one of the best deals made by for team friendly deals that the Mavericks got. Is just one of the best deals ever. He's getting paid,
who I think would be a steal right now is Isaiah Thomas.
For who?
Anyone that needs a shooter.
Anyone if you just get him for the minimum and like it's no low risk high reward kind of thing. Like, you spend 5 to 10 games, like, especially if you're the Lakers where you know you're going to make the playoffs and your seeding doesn't matter that much, where you're like, dude, we can risk maybe going 5-5 in the games that he plays, and if he doesn't fit the team, he doesn't like do well, then we send him packing. But if he does well and you fucking go 8-2 in those games, and then all of a sudden you're on this tear and this dude who nobody wanted to sign is scoring 20 plus a game, like, just for the Lakers, takes pressure off LeBron. Like, LeBron's averages under 25, averaged under 25 once in his career. And so say LeBron averages fucking 20 because a guy like IT comes in and starts averaging like 23, that makes them the team to beat.
Yeah, especially if his shooting is as good as it's looking. Because if the Lakers get another sharpshooter, so let's say Isaiah Thomas shoots like around 40%, right? Mm-hmm. So he's just pretty much automatic from deep.
Yeah.
Which he looks like it. He's been working on it. Dude, the Lakers, you can't stop them. You can't go out to IT or Wayne Ellington or Chris Nunn out there because you have AD and LeBron in the post, or Russell Westbrook, who's going to body you. And he's going to run by you. Like, so I feel like he could be such an insane signing. Speaking of old dudes getting paid, give him the vets minimum.
Yeah, like, he's not going to, he'll take anything, you know?
Yeah, give him a 10-day. If he works out, worst case scenario, he doesn't. Who cares? Lakers could go 0-10. They're still making the playoffs.
Exactly. Like, unless AD and LeBron both get injured again, like, they're going to be fine with taking that risk. But here's...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, here's the thing that I just kind of realized about the Westbrook signing is that gives them so much power over a team like the Nets, because the Nets are so, they're pretty small and lanky. Mm-hmm. And, yes, everyone was like, oh, AD or Drummond is, such a big pickup because he's just going to get boards, but he was whatever. Like, the Lakers got a playmaking point guard that rebounds at the rate of fucking Drummond.
Yes.
But, and I don't think people realize, how far that would go in a series against Brooklyn. That if Russ is averaging 10 a game, Westbrook and AD's averaging 10 a game and LeBron's averaging 8 rebounds a game. That's 28 rebounds a game between 3 fucking players, and one of them's not even a big man. Like,
dude, the Westbrook disrespect. Obviously, before he came to the Lakers, because once he came to the Lakers, he was the
immediately
best point guard in
like,
the league.
yeah.
But before he came, the disrespect on that man was absurd to me. Like,
I'm glad he got
actually,
some
like,
respect last year, though. After, like, because he was getting shit on in Houston, and then as soon as he got to Washington and started just going off, everyone's like, "Oh fuck,
the dude's a
Russ
video
is that
game."
dude.
Yeah.
He is your my career player. When 2K is like, no, you can't shoot because we're a dog shit game.
Yeah. Like, Russ, and that's the scary thing is everyone talks about Russ can't shoot, Russ can't shoot. But I think people tend to forget that Russ is not, it's not that he can't. It's that he's a hot and cold shooter.
Yeah.
I remember him playing the Lakers constantly. If that dude made, like, 2 shots in a row and you could tell, like, oh, shit, like, he's feeling his shot.
Yeah,
that
one
dude
of those
is just
nights.
randomly knocking down buckets where you're just like, I thought he couldn't shoot. But then the next night he'll go 0 for 8 from deep. But that's the thing is people say he can't. It's not that he can't. It's that he's just super. It's 50. It's all or nothing with him. He either is shooting that night or he's just not.
And he doesn't even have to shoot. Like, he has
No, he
LeBron
doesn't.
and Davis. Like, all he has to do is just drive aggressively and then only shoot when he's wide open. Hopefully that it doesn't turn into the fucking 2020 playoffs when LeBron's like, shoot it, and he's literally in the paint and nobody's within 30 feet of Russ. Like, but, I mean, Russ is going to work on his shooting a little bit. And
Of course.
Anybody with LeBron, it pisses me off that, like, throughout LeBron's career, as many good shooters as he's had, and you can look up the stats too. The open looks that he generates for his team is more than like anybody ever.
Yeah.
But fucking, they miss such a ridiculous percentage of those shots that are just better than any shot that other players create. And it's like, if I would love it if Russ could somehow be the opposite of that and just start, like, if he just starts shooting 40% because he's wide open because teams are like, I don't need to defend him. And then LeBron, like, on top of that, LeBron's getting him extra looks. So it's, if he's able to just somehow go all the way up, like, because I don't think that's impossible. I really don't. Because people are to start the season, if LeBron drives, people are gonna double team him, and they're gonna leave Russ specifically because they don't think he can shoot. So if he could prove them wrong, it could, like, change the start of the season at least.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Lakers, again, we'll talk about them in a bit, but, like, that team's going to be ridiculous. And then on that Drew Holiday topic, this will lead into our next topic, talking about the rookies. When Drew Holiday came in the league on the Sixers, he was always that player, for me at least. It seemed like he always had this potential to do what he's doing on the Bucks, where it's like, holy hell, this dude could be, if he played up to this potential, this dude could be a top 5 point guard in the league.
Yeah,
and I think he
he
always
was
had
always
that.
like right outside,
Yeah,
Like,
he always had that, and he'd always get injured, or he'd just have a bad year, or like something would happen. And it was mainly injuries with Drew Holiday. That dude was always hurt. It's like Anthony Davis, just permanently injured.
yeah.
And then he finally, I think, showed it. I mean, yeah, it's late. He's like, what,
When
30
he was
years
with-
old now?
When he was with New Orleans, he popped off. Like, he was still injured a lot there, but he really came out and showed New Orleans that he was that dude. When he was playing with Cousins and AD, like, that's when he really kind of just came out of his shell and started popping off.
Yeah, and so I think, like, that's something, and I think a lot of players, especially since we're talking rookies, like, I think people assume, we can just tie another topic into here, because LiAngelo Ball's technically a rookie. I think people are too afraid of getting people that have potential to be like a Danny Green.
Yeah, just like solid. Like, I don't even want to call them role players. They are role players, but in my opinion, everybody's a role player. Like, even stars are role players. Like, that's their role. But they're above the role player.
They're better than average,
Like PJ Tucker is a role player.
Yeah.
But like, Danny Green is just
he's a game changer.
Yeah, and I don't want to
Or X
downplay
factor.
PJ Tucker. I
That's the
wasn't thinking
perfect
PJ
word.
Tucker. I was thinking Jared Dudley. He's a role player.
I think that's like the perfect word. Is an X factor. They'll say it in football. Like you're
X factor player. Like if this dude's on, you're not winning.
If you going back to those like 2012, 2013 Heat, it's the Mike Millers, the Rashard Lewis, like the people that when you look at championship teams, that they have one game in the finals that turns around the series because the stars are gonna do what they do.
I mean, Ray Allen for the Heat.
Yeah,
he saved them.
Like the stars are gonna come out. They're gonna put 20, 30, 40 points on the board. They're gonna do everything that's expected of them. It's the players below them that need to step up, and those are the players that win you championships.
I agree.
As much as like everybody knows back when the Jordan Bulls were around, everybody knows Jordan was going to get his. But it was, all right, is Pippen going to score enough? Like, what's Rodman going to do? He's probably not going to he's probably not going to give you a lot on the scoring sheet, but he's going to get you boards. But then you go to the guys like Steve Kerr, like BJ Armstrong, like Paxson, like those are the guys that win you championships.
Yeah. I think,
I think that's the thing. I think this rookie class hype has been a little bit lower, purely because of COVID, obviously. But also because I think people, they're just too scared of it, man. Like, it's for every rookie, for whatever reason, it's like a boom or bust. It's like you're either a superstar or you're a bust.
Here's the thing. I'll give it to you in the best way I've thought, because I've seen this come up a lot in the last couple of months. It's the Andrew Wiggins problem, where Andrew Wiggins was thought to be the next LeBron James, the next Michael Jordan. Like Maple Jordan was his is his nickname coming out of high school. And like if you look at his high school mixtape, he deserves every ounce of hype that he got. Like that dude was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But because he's not a LeBron James or Michael Jordan, people are like, this guy's shit. He's overrated.
Yeah.
Like the dude averages 20 a game. Like he's the first pick. Averages like 20 a game. Like he's not the defender everybody wanted him to be. He got better last year playing for the Warriors. But because he's not an absolute superstar, they consider him some sort of bust. It's like, dude, this isn't fucking Kwame Brown. This isn't Darko Milicic. Like, this is a dude that is a borderline all-star. And if he wasn't the first pick, if he didn't have that hype, everybody would be loving him. But because he came in with that hype, everybody hates him.
I think Ayton suffered from the same thing because you heard it last year during the playoffs when he was playing well, like bullying AD, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I guess he's not a bust." And it's like, wait, he wasn't.
He just came in the league. He got injured. Yeah,
the dude was injured, and even when he was playing solid. Not every player that gets drafted needs to be LeBron. There's a reason we all know LeBron James. There's a reason we all know Michael Jordan. There's a reason we all know Kobe Bryant. They're once-in-a-lifetime players, man.
Yeah.
They're not just going to fall out of the sky every 3 seconds.
And you're going to be wrong a lot more than you're right.
Yeah, you're not going to just grab a guy and it's like, all right, this is the next LeBron. Putting LeBron, Kobe, Jordan's names on any rookie is unfair.
Oh, yeah.
Even Steph Curry, like when they were saying, like, oh, Trey is the next Steph. That's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit it, I'm guilty of it, but it's more because of the play style.
Yeah,
and because
of
I
course.
think he's possible, but like he is one of those guys that's like proving it. Same with like when I go around, I'm like Luka Doncic, because the dude averaged like 30, 10, and 10 in his second year, but I don't expect fucking like as much as I'm a Cade Cunningham fan and I want him to succeed and I believe that he's gonna do well. Do I expect him to fucking average 30, 10, and 10 in his first 3 years? No shot.
Yeah.
Like, with his size and everything, I expect him to basically be putting up Ben Simmons numbers, which is solid. But I expect him to score more. But basically, like, a 20 and 10, or more appropriately, probably, 18, 8, and 6. But, the 6 being, rebounds. But it's like, those are the kind of numbers I expect from him for the first 2 to 3 years. Now, after that, then you can start getting into, the superstar numbers. But I don't think expecting somebody to be absolutely dominant from the get-go, and even if Cade Cunningham were to be a 20, 10, and 6 guy, for his career, that's a fucking Hall of Fame career. If you just get a couple, all-star appearances, couple All-NBAs, maybe win a championship, that's a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, and I think a lot of players get caught in that trap. And especially now people have to realize with 18-year-olds allowed to come back into the league again.
Yeah.
Dude, these guys are going to need time to develop physically, mentally, like
That's
in
the thing, like,
every
aspect. When I say most of these kids are kids, like I mean the word kid. Like yes, they're an adult by age standards, but they're still fucking kids.
Yeah, like LaMelo Ball, dude. LaMelo Ball, dude, has a ton of hype. Yes, he won Rookie of the Year. Yes, I love LaMelo. I think LaMelo's a beast, and he had such an incredible year. You're like, damn, like LaMelo wasn't even that like as good as I thought. It's like, what the? He is 18. Yeah. What do you want him to do, man? Do you want him to posterize 220-pound LeBron James, cross over Kyrie Irving, and make him look like a fool? Like, the dude can do so much. Only do so much. He went for 18-year-old standards. The dude went insane.
Yeah, like you got to compare him to a dude like fucking Tyreek Evans, who had an unbelievable rookie season, going like 25-5. Like, those are what you're comparing to, not the fucking the players that LeBron is in year 18.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
like comparing him, to like LeBron and Russ. Like, he's a triple-double machine like Russ, but he's just worse. It's like, he ain't worse. He's 14 years younger.
Exactly. Like, give him time.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's another thing I hate about with LiAngelo, is the dude is straight up, if he's shown anything in Summer League, sure, he had one game where he was bad at shooting. I think it was the last
tonight he didn't do that well.
Yeah, the most recent game, but the dude's a lockdown defender. Like, if you watch him in these Summer League games, that dude is on you like white on rice. Like, he is not leaving you alone. He's a big-bodied guard or either a small forward.
Yeah, that dude's like 6'5" plus, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he's 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, he was
but he's a big body.
Yikes.
But, like, you give that man some time, some reps to shoot, bro.
Yeah, 6'5", 215, that's huge.
Yeah, like, he's like Joe Johnson size. This dude could be a guy like Danny Green, and people are like, well, who wants a Danny Green? Who doesn't?
Everybody. Like, a 3-and-D, the prototypical 3-and-D player is the most sought-after thing after a superstar.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't a team take a chance on, I think LiAngelo's what, 21, 20?
Yeah,
why wouldn't you take a chance on a 21, 20-year-old? Like, even for my team, I would much rather them take a chance on LiAngelo Ball than Melo. Like,
yeah, I feel
I'm happy Melo's on the team for sure, but
the thing is, like, in that situation, you don't even have to do one or the other. Like, you could do both.
Well, yeah, I'm talking just, if you had to choose, right?
Yeah. Like, if you only had one roster spot left.
They're signing all these old dudes that used to be good are getting signed to ridiculous deals, and you have someone like LiAngelo, and they're like, yeah, you're not worth our time. Because all you do is shoot and play good defense. You can't handle the ball. You're not going to be the next, like, Kevin Durant or whatever. It's like, why does he have to? Why?
Yeah, he can be the first LiAngelo Ball. He doesn't need to be the third Michael Jordan.
Yeah, like, Thank you. That's what I'm saying, man. And people like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, like, people like that, they're like, well, let's see if they were worth it. It's like, I mean, dude.
And that's the thing too, like fan bases get way too hung up on their picks too, because like especially like the New York, like potentially Detroit, just these fan bases will get these players, and if they don't perform immediately, they'll start like booing them, and like it just gets in their head, and it's like, you realize how hard it is to win a title, right? Like, you look at the last 10 years and the teams that have won, and probably the worst team to have won is the Mavericks, and they have a top 3 power forward of all time. Yeah, like that, and they have multiple other Hall of Famers. But
and the Mavericks won through role playing.
Yeah, but like the players after that, or the teams after that, you got the fucking, like, you got LeBron 4 times, you got Steph Curry 3 times, like, those are the people you have to have. Like, and you have Durant twice, and he was on 2 of them with Steph. But it's like, you have to have the best player in the league, or 2 of the 3 best players in the league. Like, you have to have that kind of talent to win a title.
Yeah.
And people are like...
If you load up... The crazy thing is, if you load up on players, like... just say we had a team full of, like, Danny Greens and DeAndre Aytons, right?
Yeah.
And you had one superstar. Pick one. Any of them. I don't really give a fuck. Devin Booker. They're going to win a chip. That team's too good. That team's too deep. You know, if I'm subbing out Danny Green with Danny Green.
Not a Devin Booker, but like a Giannis, LeBron, KD, Luka, Steph, then yes, I agree with you. Like a top 5 player in the league.
Dude, that team wins every time. That team looks unbeatable.
Yeah. Like you just I think you really do need a top 5 player, and you can get away with like a top 10, especially if the rest of the team fills out. But I think it's so incredibly hard. That like I looked this up the other day, or like I guess a couple months ago at this point. But only 2 championships have been won since 1980 that do not include these names right here: Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Steph Curry, or LeBron James. And don't include like three teams now, including this year. And those years are like it was the Pistons.
When the Pistons beat the Lakers.
Yeah, where they weren't in the finals.
Yeah.
So, but it was like the Pistons and somebody. It was like the Pistons and Sonics or something. Or 76ers Sonics, Pistons or Sonics. And then it was where finals just didn't have either of these players. And then the Mavs and Heat, like in 06. Then like this year. Like where those 8 players have been in the finals all but 3 years out of the last 40. Like that's fucking incredible. Yep. And that just goes to show how hard it is to win a title.
I also think it's because I think this might be wrong, so I'm open to being wrong. But I think it's because people are so obsessed with super teams that they're not willing to load up on role players. I think that's what made the Spurs with Tim Duncan so successful. Like, if you think about it, man, like that team, like Tony Parker, sure, he's a Hall of Fame point guard, but I don't know if he was ever one of the best point guards.
He was really good, like in the late 2000s, but in all honesty, like points, like production wise, like I don't want to say like impact on the game, because I think that's different than like production.
Yeah,
but like a Devontae Graham could have almost filled that Tony Parker spot.
Right, and so you have players like that, like Tony Parker, Bruce Bowen. Who else they have on those teams? Those teams were loaded.
Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, Ginobili, Robert Horry. All these great players, but they weren't superstars. They weren't like, it wasn't like LeBron, D. Wade, Chris Bosh, or KD, Steph, Clay. Like, it wasn't that. And so I feel like people are so concerned with, well, it's LeBron, AD, Russ versus the Kyrie, KD, James Harden show. I gotta just load up on superstars, and I think that's what the Bucks did this year.
Well, so
also injuries helped, but
I'll say I like half agree with that, because in a normal situation, like when those are the best teams, like I kind of agree that you can get away with. Like personally, I think the best route to win a championship is 2 superstars and then really good role players. Because when you get 3, you give up a lot of stuff. Like if you look at the Lakers, AD, LeBron, and Westbrook are like $117 million, and the cap is $112. Yeah. But you give up. But in a league where you have teams that fucking good, it's so hard to win without comparable teams. Now, like the Bucks are one of those teams. Like they did it. Granted, like you said, they got a little bit lucky, but like a Chris Middleton and a Drew Holiday are the level of player that you need to win a title if you don't have true second and third option superstars.
And so, yeah, man, I think the rookie class this year, I don't know. I'm not too hyped on a lot of people from this class.
There's like 6 or 7 that I actually really like.
I admittedly didn't pay much attention to many of the rookies from this class. I know, obviously, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, those kind of players. And then I know Matt McClung because he went to the Lakers and he's terrible.
I think it is. I do think it's relatively top heavy this draft. Like, I think after like the top 5, it kind of falls off. But I don't think it's a. While I think it's top heavy, I don't necessarily think that the guys below are like 6 steps below them. You know, it's relatively close, but it is still top heavy. Like I think Cade Cunningham, superstar. Jalen Green, superstar. Evan Mobley, like all-star. Like Jalen Suggs, borderline. Like Scotty Barnes, the rest of them are solid starters and above kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like the the 3 that I think have the highest potential are like the Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, and Jalen Suggs. I think Mobley, Barnes, Kuminga, like all of them are going to be fucking solid. But I've been paying attention to Cunningham for like 2 years now, and I think he's worth the pick. And both Green and Suggs are just they're scorers. They're going to get you buckets.
Yeah.
Like in a league like today, like Kevin Porter Jr. on the Rockets with Jalen Green, I think is a solid backcourt. The only problem is that it might be too much like Portland, and it's not really worked out. Like Portland and even Cleveland.
I think the reason Portland isn't working out is CJ McCollum, but
yeah, but I saw this tweet the other day and I thought it was crazy but accurate. Is that Lillard will probably be traded before McCollum, and if you had like said that 3 years ago, I would have been like, that's fucking absurd.
I think Lillard would obviously get traded because he doesn't want to be there. But
exactly.
Well, since we're on the topic of contenders, teams that suck, I think we probably would agree on the favorites to win this year would be the Lakers and the Nets. Those probably are the top 2.
I still think Nets are kind of the team to beat. I just think the Durant, Harden, and Kyrie offense is like unbeatable. And as good as the Lakers are, do I think they're capable of scoring 130 points a game? And that, like, I don't. Like, not in a 7-game series.
I feel like they've added defense.
They're back to their championship ways of 2020, where they do have defense. They have some size.
I think Ariza's a good defensive pickup. I think Nunn's a good defensive pickup. Russ is obviously a psychopath. He's a good defensive pickup. LeBron will be fine. AD is probably the only thing you have to worry about defensively, but they don't have anyone that's going to give him problems. So
like Kevin Durant and LeBron kind of block each other out. I think Russ and Kyrie kind of block each other out. Like the only problem there is if Russ almost hurts the Lakers. Like if he just starts shooting or turning it over too much.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like plays solid, then yeah. And then the Harden and Davis thing, they kind of block each other out, but they both provide incredibly different things that it's not like a clean cancel out, you know?
I am happy though because Harden's gonna have Trevor Ariza on him.
Yeah, like he'll have some size on him.
He'll have someone that's a very, very good defender.
Yeah.
That is used to defending. I mean, think about the people this man's defended. Defended Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Kobe Bryant,
and I mean he used to defend him in practice. Like he used to be on the same team.
So, I think I would agree. I do think the Nets are probably a slight favorite. Due to the fact that going into the next topic, that the AD, he's the Achilles heel of the Lakers. I think that should be, if you watch basketball, that should be the obvious consensus of the Lakers, is the Lakers are only going to go as far as AD can take them.
100%. It's disappointing almost because I mean we follow each other on Twitter, so we see what the other person says, and I'm pretty vocal about not being a AD believer. That I've pretty much never been on the AD as a top 5 player. I think he's personally, this is gonna sound crazy, I think he's borderline top 10. That he's way too
player or forward.
Player. He's a top 10 forward. But a top 10 player he just doesn't play like it consistently enough. And I don't. Here's another thing that I always think about whenever I think of like really great talent, and I've admitted it before, but I don't know what it is. There's some factor that helps players, like on certain teams, exceed expectations. LeBron has that. Like, Durant has that. Not Kyrie. Curry has that. The the fact that Davis only won one playoff series in his entire time with the Pelicans, I think is an issue because that team wasn't bad.
Well, you have
Drew
to
Holiday,
remember-
him, Cousins, like
You have to
Tyreek
remember
Evans.
that dude was injured.
But even
every
when
time.
even when they weren't injured, on paper, that team feels like it should be a top 3 team. And the fact that they missed the playoffs multiple times, like, again, I know injuries play a huge part of it, but just
that team
the
was
lack
plagued.
of success,
Yeah.
is just like an omen of
I agree.
don't believe in AD because of that.
That was my biggest concern is AD isn't a winner. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
going to say it. People can freak out all they want. He won a
And the thing is,
championship.
like, I don't know what the single like a trait or ability that makes somebody a winner. You know,
I think
like-
it's just that's it though. I think that's
Yeah.
why it's so hard to see is because LeBron is a
like
winner.
it's almost that simple. You can't. See
it is that it's that simple. If you're a winner, you'll see it because they'll be winning.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is a winner. The
Yeah,
dude,
like-
bro, this man has a higher percentage chance of making a Super Bowl than Michael Jordan does of hitting a jump shot. Like,
I saw that like a couple months. And I was like, holy fuck, what the hell? If you had to bet like on any given day of like, hey, is Michael gonna make half of his jump shots tonight, or is Tom Brady gonna make the Super Bowl this year? That you'd be better betting
Yeah.
on Tom Brady making a Super. Like that's absurd.
yeah, like
Like-
it's just that simple. Like some people just have it. Like they just have
Yeah.
that winner's mentality. That's why they're LeBron James. That's why they're Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. That's why they're those players. That's why they're those pinnacle players that no matter what they do, where they go, who they have on their team, they will win. And
Yeah,
sure,
it's kind of
you
like
could
the Barry
say-
Sanders almost, where it's also like it doesn't even matter what sport you play.
Yeah, and people can say what they want about LeBron building super teams. That's the only reason he won a championship. Sure, whatever. Even if you have that, the dude still took a bunch of bums to the finals.
Yeah,
So dude
like
still
multiple
won
times.
out.
Like
Still won out the East multiple times. with
I saw
bums.
one people being like, when back in like 2018, people were like, oh, like he beat the Celtics and the Celtics didn't have an All-Star and like they had 2, and I was like, you realize that Kevin Love was the second highest scorer on that team in that series, averaging like 12 and a half a game. That would have been the 6th best scorer on the fucking Celtics. Like LeBron fucking carried that team. Like just because you have names on your team doesn't mean that people are fucking all-stars. Like
Yeah, it's one of those things where people just don't get that. Oh, like I've always like you've known each other since I was
Yeah.
like 7 years old. I've always been on the LeBron hate wagon.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where, dude, you guys are just stretching. You're just reaching. Like I root against LeBron because it's like when people hated on Kobe. It's
Yeah.
fun that's my way of appreciating his greatness.
I mean,
Is
and
this
you know me,
dude-
like, because we always, when I, like, hating Kobe, it's like, I didn't even realize what he did to me, like, how much he impacted me until he died,
Yeah.
which, like, fucking sucks, but it's also why I try to not hate on talent now, because I don't want to be in that same position again.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like LeBron's one of those players that regardless of how you feel, I don't care about the GOAT debate. You can't deny that he's not one of the greatest players
Yeah.
of all time. Like there's
Like,
no
undoubtedly,
person-
he is, like, if you want to be the biggest hater you can, which is, like, a Golden State fan for some fucking reason. I don't get how you can see somebody in the finals 4 years and be undermatched that much and then, like, continue to hate on them. But that at absolute worst, even if you're his biggest hater, he's a top 2 player this generation, like of the last
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, exactly. If you're like me, you're a Kobe fan, you believe Kobe's the GOAT. If you're a old head, Michael Jordan is the GOAT, he's the greatest player of all time. Doesn't matter what you say, LeBron is in your top 3. If he's
Yeah.
not, you are smoking something. I don't
Yeah.
care what people want to say about Magic Johnson. I'm sorry, LeBron would shit on Magic Johnson.
If
It's
you
not
gave
close.
if you gave LeBron Kareem and you had LeBron at 6'8", 250 in the fucking 80s,
yeah.
he'd be destroying people.
Yeah, like I love Magic Johnson again, Laker fan, but
Yeah.
dude, LeBron is a once in a lifetime talent. It's not close. It is as much as you people want to hate, he is top 3 of all time. Period. End of story. There shouldn't be an argument on that. If there is one, people are just really trying to find something to hate this dude for.
Like, you just gotta hate the sport. Like, because that's like the last 20 years of your life, you're just like, I fucking hate this guy. I can't imagine. Like, you're like, why do you even watch basketball at this point if you hate LeBron?
So, yeah, man. And I think, like, especially, I think what's funny is I really do think that the 2020 year on the Lakers just cemented it. Like, just really, I think his legacy has always been he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer. I think that 2020 year, seeing what this man did at 35 years old, and people can show the stats like LeBron or Jordan did it, Kobe did it too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we're not comparing. We're saying what he did was unbelievable. The only 2 players you can say did it are the other 2 greatest players of all time.
Yeah, like those guys and Kareem. Like, those are the people playing at top 5 player in the league status at that fucking age.
Yeah, like, dude, like, even so, yeah, be a LeBron hater. You can say, well, Kobe did it, Jordan did it. Okay, so LeBron did something only 3 other men on Earth could do. Like,
yeah, but like
that's not bad.
It's kind of crazy how people will like say that shit. Like, I've heard the people being like, "Oh, Jordan wasn't a super team because they were like old," and I'm like, okay, so you're saying that because Jordan was 35, it wasn't a super team, but like LeBron at 35 is a super team, so therefore LeBron's better because you're considering him a super team. Like,
yeah,
is Jordan not good enough to be a super team? But LeBron, like, that's what. Like, I feel like the haters have gone full fucking circle, and they start unknowingly praising LeBron.
And, like, that's another thing is, like, what people have to remember is LeBron's been playing every year for 18 years.
Yeah, he didn't retire. He didn't get injured.
Yeah, like, he didn't get hurt. And people have to remember, again, no hate to Jordan. I do think he's one of the GOATs behind Kobe for sure. Sure. Yeah. Him and LeBron could battle for number 2. Kobe's number 1. But, I mean, think about it. When they both had bums, Jordan couldn't even make a finals.
And here's the other thing I'll say to playing 18 years, because like this is what one thing I'll say whenever the Jordan fans get in it is I'm like, your GOAT couldn't do this without retiring twice. Like, he couldn't play 14 years without retiring twice. LeBron's doing this in year 15. Yep. But the other thing you got to think about it is that LeBron has played during the summer. He's played into the summer, like, because he's only missed 1 Olympics, and it was 2016. Like, it's the only Olympics he hasn't played in. It's 2016 and 2020. Mm-hmm. And he also has played into fucking June for every single year since 2010, except for 2019. Like, that he's played in the finals 10 fucking years. So it's like, when Jordan's not making the playoffs, or when Jordan's not making the finals, like, he gets an extra month off. Like, LeBron's not gotten time off. He's had 2 months off between every single season.
And and that's another thing I respect. That's another reason I put Kobe, not just because I'm a Lakers fan. It's the reason I put Kobe above MJ. Kobe played for damn near 20 years, bro.
Yeah.
Like, the dude was in the league forever. And,
people be
like, and he wasn't, the only injury he had was a freak accident Achilles, which this man walked back on the court and shot his free throws with a blown out Achilles to finish the game and made them both.
I mean, that dude's like an actual maniac. Like,
yeah. Like, it's one of those things, man, where it's just quit hating.
I mean, I wish people would. Like, what pisses me off about it is that it makes me look like a Jordan hater whenever I get into these conversations, and I'm like, I'm anything but, dude. Like, I respect Jordan so fucking much. I'm like, even if I debate for LeBron or anybody else, I'm like, I still think Jordan's the GOAT. I just think it's fucking 1A and 1B. I don't think it's like Jordan's on some fucking pedestal that is impossible to reach. I don't think Jordan is the Michael Phelps of basketball where nobody's gonna fucking reach him. Like,
yeah, and I think that's another thing. I think that's another thing where it's like, I think you could do that with all of them, right? I think you could do 1A, 1B, 1C with Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan, you know?
Yeah.
I think you could do, like how they had like people would post like the 3-headed Hydra, and that's the GOAT. That's really the GOAT, is Kobe is the greatest scorer of all time. I forgot what they had for Jordan.
Like greatest like player probably.
Yeah, I think they had, like
it was probably like greatest player, greatest scorer for Kobe, and then like greatest talent for LeBron, basically, like something like that.
Yeah, greatest talent for LeBron, and then like greatest player for Jordan. I think like literally you could do that with them. Like they are all so. Like I think Kobe outscores both. I think Jordan outwins both. I think LeBron out-talents both. Like it's one of those things where it's like they're all the GOAT. Like. And I feel like people get so hung up on that too.
And they just think it's disrespectful if they even have like a differing opinion, basically. Mm-hmm. They're like, how could you even?
How could you dare say Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time? It's like, dude, who cares? Me saying Jordan is second to Kobe is not saying he's bad.
It's not like literally saying just because it's people think that if you don't have him number 1, it's like you put him at number 100.
Yeah, it's like, bro,
relax.
I'm saying he's better than every player that stepped on the court except for Kobe Bryant or except for LeBron James.
Like ever, like not just in the NBA, like not like.
Yeah, I'm talking ever, ever to touch a basketball.
To be a top 3 person to do anything that has ever been done is fucking incredible. Yeah. Like you could be top 10, like going all the way down to like the Hakeem and like fucking Oscar Robertson level kind of thing. And you're like, you're still a top 15 player ever. Like,
ever.
Out of like
you that's a little bit bigger than a team's lineup. And you're saying you are like, on the all-time lineup of I am better than every one of you motherfuckers.
Like you might be on the injured reserves of the greatest team ever, but you're still on the fucking team.
Yeah, and people just take that so weird, man. And it's like, and I'll never get insulted. Like someone's like, "Oh, Kobe's not the GOAT." I'm like, all right, well, you can be wrong, but at the end of the day, it's like, people. The only time I'm like, wow, you really don't like basketball or you really hate Kobe. Some people are like, yeah, Kobe's not even top 5. I'm like, all right, so we're just lying.
That's me. I'll debate you on that another time, though.
Yeah, like, I think, like, that's when you're, like, crazy. You're just like, oh, LeBron's, like, not top 5. Jordan's not top 5. It's like, okay, well, you're tripping. That just doesn't make sense. But, I mean, yeah, man, like, we definitely strayed off topic of the winners of the finals, but yeah,
I mean, it's fine. It needed to divulge into that. Yeah. We'll get into it.
We're obviously always going to talk about the GOATs. Like that's just how a basketball podcast is going to have to work.
It really does. And one day we'll just get into a GOAT. Maybe we'll do like we'll do that top roster. Like
I'm down.
And I don't know if we do 1 through 15 or if we literally just do the roster and we do starting lineup and then like rotation. Like
I'm down.
We'll figure that out at a later date. Let's talk one more thing though before we get out of here, because I saw happening today. It's been popping off, where Jalen Green was talking shit on Detroit, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even want to go. Like as much as I wanted to go number 1, I didn't want to go to Detroit. I would have asked for a stupid amount of money to fucking so that they wouldn't have wanted me there." And personally, like I've always loved confident rookies, like confident players, just in general. Like I want to see you exude confidence. I forgot who it was. I think it was literally Deshaun Stevenson, who's like, "I'm better than Michael Jordan," and I'm like, "You're fucking crazy," but like you need that to be able to get here. Like I'm not gonna hate on somebody. You're still a top 450 player in the world. Like you need to believe that. Mm-hmm. But the whole Jalen Green thing, I think, is fucking hilarious, because if we're being honest, who the fuck would want to live in Detroit over Houston? Like, just take basketball out of the equation. True. Like, just look at the fucking cities. If I'm 20 years old, put me in fucking Houston. Do not send me my ass to Detroit. I've been to Cleveland, and that shit was depressing as fuck, and Detroit's like a worse version of Cleveland by everything I fucking see. All the pictures and everything I've seen.
Yeah. It's crazy to me, man. Like, people, and that's the weird thing is people will say like, "Oh, this player isn't confident. We need confidence." Then a confident player shows up, and they're like, "This dude's an inconsiderate ass." It's like, wait,
going back to the GOAT conversation, it's people praise Jordan for literally making shit up. Like when he made shit up in the Jordan doc, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he never said that." Like after the dude like scored like 30 on him that one time, like the fucking no name player, and he's like, "Oh, how you like that, Mike?" or whatever he said. And then it goes into the documentary, and they show like the next game because it was a back to back, and then Jordan's like after they showed the tape, and he's like, "Yeah, he never said that." And he's like, "This dude's a fucking psycho that made that shit up." And everybody's like, "Oh, Jordan the fucking GOAT. I love that mentality." But anybody else doing even half of that, they're like, "What a fucking scumbag. What a clown. Like, what an arrogant asshole."
And I do think there is a level of greatness you have to be acting like that. Like to be like Jordan or like have that Kobe Jordan mentality where it's just like fuck you. But I mean, with this Jalen Green thing, dude, I don't want to live in Detroit. Like it's not that serious, bro. It's like I just don't want to live there. He can want to live wherever he wants to live, man. It's his life.
Bro, I just got a notification on Twitter because of the quote that I have on our notes where somebody was like quoted Ice Cube because the dude's from Fresno. Jalen Green's from Fresno.
Okay.
And so the dude was like said that Jalen Green was been an underdog his whole life, and like they posted a picture of Fresno, which like doesn't look that bad. And this guy was like, "Yo, in Compton, but you moved to Riverside." It was a quote by Ice Cube from like 1991.
Yeah.
And I was like, the irony of this quote is that Riverside is a huge fucking like meth capital and drug distribution capital in this country. Like it's gotten better.
That's my city.
Yeah, like it's gotten better like in the last like 5-10 years, you know? But like in the 90s and early 2000s, like that shit was fucking like before it became like gentrified. Like I don't even want to say gentrified because there was just literally nothing there.
Yeah.
Like before it got built up, like it was a bunch of fucking like meth heads and shit. And then like this one dude responded to me on Twitter, and now he's like, Southern California doesn't claim the Inland Empire. It's like that shit's fucking true. Like Riverside is almost its own fucking thing.
Yeah, I think like my thing with that, I mean, I live in Riverside, but I just feel like people are so weird with that when like people are like, well, I don't want to live there. It's like,
I mean, it's not bad now. Like I'm not saying that.
No,
like,
I'm talking like in general, like when players say that, like, oh, I don't want to go there because I don't want to live there. They're like, are you saying like us as people are terrible people? It's like,
no,
dude,
you're not Boston, bro. You're not full of praise.
It's like, no, dude. It's like they just don't want to. Like some people, like I like California. If I got an offer to play in Milwaukee, I'd be like, no, I don't want to live there. Why would I leave?
There's a reason that, like, money aside, there's a reason that LeBron went from fucking Cleveland to Miami. Like, you can't get that much fucking different.
So yeah, man. I think it's just. I think people take some of this stuff. Basketball fans seem a little bit. I mean, all fans are a little intense in their own ways, but I feel like basketball fans are one of the fans that will take like the littlest thing someone says and make it into something where it's like completely blown out of proportion.
Basketball does a really good job of getting the most media attention. And I think it's because it's like more individual focused, and so you can talk about like a bunch of way more things than like on a football field. Like you give credit to Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, and like you almost overlook the other 21 people on the field, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like because a guy like LeBron and Kevin Durant can do so much to win a single game.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, like you said, it's like not everything's that fucking serious.
I agree. I think it's so weird. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think, yeah, I think sports fans get a little too weird about certain things, and they're just, I think they're finding a reason to be mad at the rookie.
I will say, though, just in general for sports fans, granted COVID helped and the activism of the NBA has helped this situation, that most of the racists have kind of left basketball. Whereas the racists are still absolutely rampant in the NFL and MLB fan bases. like they're still like, oh, I fucking like the NFL. I've got to say is like just the most racist league with like the most racist fans. And I feel like the MLB is like right behind it, and the NBA, it's like everybody knows that like
Utah.
all the players are black. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like Boston and fucking Utah are notorious for how bad they are, but outside of them, it's like everyone else is just an asshole fan.
Me too. I'm an asshole fan. You mess with my teams, bro, I'll never like you again. Straight up. If
I'll
you're
throw fucking popcorn on you, fuck
bro,
you, Russ.
Jimmy Garoppolo, if I saw him in the street, I'd slap him in the face. It wouldn't even. It would be a knee jerk reaction. I'd be like, "You lost us the Super Bowl." Slap. It wouldn't be close. I'd be like, "I'm pissed. I don't like you," and like, but in all seriousness, man, just enjoy the sport.
Dude,
Just enjoy it. Like if your type of enjoyment is being a douche, find another way to enjoy it. If your type of enjoyment though is just, calling Westbrook, stuff like that, it's like that's fine. Go for it.
If you want to fucking slander Kevin Durant on Twitter, fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just at him. Don't be a pussy. Let him respond to you because he'll get in his fucking feelings.
Yeah, he will. He'll get on his burner and he'll come after you. He'll be on that burner real quick if you say something to him like Kevin Durant got carried by Steph.
His burner getting found out was the best thing that happened to like NBA Twitter because now he just goes at people.
Oh, dude, I love watching him go at people.
That's why I at him sometimes. I'm like, they're like, who could you guard? You have one chance to stop him. I'm like, Kevin Durant can get this fucking work.
Bro, it's crazy, man. But the one player I will say, before we sign off, is that Ben Simmons sucks. So I'll just say that Ben Simmons is ass. It's not me not appreciating talent. There isn't talent to appreciate. So that's all I'll say there in that case.
Maybe we'll have to get back to it next week. But before we get out of here,
all right.
I gotta ask, how was your Corona with lime today?
Modelo, but it was fire.
Modelo with lime. My bad,
how was your?
It's been like an hour.
I'm not even gonna try and pronounce it. How was yours?
Shoots, the Deschutes. I don't even know. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. I finished both of mine. I'm ready to go for this next podcast we do real quick. That'll probably be solid timing, but I'm ready.
All right, let's get it. I'm down.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right.
Everybody better like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. That's the most important part. Like, only if it's 5 stars, though. I don't want anything less than a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, but leave a 5-star review.
And if you guys disagree or agree with anything we've said, make sure to put it down on a comment. If this
Please, we will respond to them.
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a comment. If you find us on Twitter, leave us a comment. Call us out.
Let's do our @s real quick. My @ is @Mitchell Rossman on Twitter, like Instagram. It's that on everything. And we'll make sure. It was not before you get to yours real quick. I'll make sure we have like a platform.
Yep.
Like Twitter for the podcast and everything, but as of right now, as of this very moment, we do not.
Yep. And my @'s just @MutedTyler, 2 R's at the end. But yeah, let us know, man, because that would be a fun segment for this podcast, is to go through some of your guys' takes and make fun of you. So
hell yeah,
make sure to send us your takes. They'll probably be incorrect, but it'll make it more fun.
Yeah, we'll debate them. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, we're about to get out of here. Peace, y'all.
Peace.